afternoon, I will present materials about environmental remote sensing and environmental risk. Okay, previously I will introduce myself. My name is Alvine Barik. My name 19209031. I'm from class A and I'm from group 2. Hello, good afternoon. I will present materials about environmental remote sensing and environmental risk. Okay, previously I will introduce myself. My name is Alvine Barik. My name 19209031. I'm from class A and I'm from group 2. Okay. Chapter 4 about environmental remote sensing. First, introduction. Remote sensing is the acquisition of information from a distance about physical object on Earth to detect and classify object by reflecting or emitting electromagnetic energy. Next, electromagnetic radiation. All objects and reflect electromagnetic radiation. Remote sensing uses sensors to record electromagnetic radiation emitted or discharged from target objects that pass through the atmosphere. Electromagnetic radiation is expressed by three properties. 1. Wavelength, through frequency, and amplitude. Interaction with the atmosphere and Earth's surface. First, with the atmosphere. Scattering, the transfer of electromagnetic radiation by large particles or molecules in the atmosphere. Related scattering, so when atmospheric particles, or especially large molecules of nitrogen and oxygen gas, are very small relative to the wavelength of radiation and is proportional to the inverse of the fourth power of the wavelengths. 2. Absorption. Gradual loss of radiation intensity through a medium, or also called attenuation. Radiation energy is taken up by the medium and transformed into other forms such as heat. The Earth's atmosphere is an important barrier to the transmission of radiation through attenuation. Refraction, change in the direction of radiation in the contour area between two different media. This occurs in the atmosphere when radiation passes through the atmosphere with varying humidity, temperature, and density. Next, with surface. Electromagnetic radiation interacting with Earth's surface in three events. 1. Reflection, 2. Transmission, and 3. Absorption. Next, spectral hand signs. Objects that differ from the surface of the natural surface may have irradiated or reflected signals in the range of waves, which are called spectral signatures, with camera instruments sensing the distance of other distance. It is possible to observe the brightness of the object in several spectral bands. Spectral signature help identify length or surface length cover. Next, sensors. Remote sensing take three forms. 1. Reflection of solar radiation from the Earth. The spectrum mainly includes visible and near-infrared light. 2. Radiation emitted from Earth. Because the Earth has a much lower temperature, than the sun, radiation from the earth is mainly at longer wavelengths. 3. The reflection of radiation emitted from sensors or sensors illuminates objects with their own radiation, not the sun. Various sensors are available to capture the form information. Okay, next about aerial camera. Aerial photography is a basic from capturing remote sensing image using an aerial camera in visible light and air. The aerial camera has the following components. Lens 1. Lens to focus brightness on film. 2. Film to record image. And 3. Shutter to control exposure. Infrared spectrum. Okay, next about radiometer. Used to call radiation that is reflected or emitted in various frequencies. The most common are infrared and visible sensors, followed by microwaves. The radiator can collect images in panchromatic, multispectral, hyperspectral, and full modes. Panchromatic image record total radiation in various spectral. Okay, next about microwave radiometer. Microwave radiometers measures the energy emitted at sub-millimeter to centimeter wavelengths or at frequency from 1 to 1000 GHz. Next about radar altimeters. Radar altimeters measure altitude using the time for microwaves to reflect from the surface of the earth the instrument. Coupled with GPS, radar altimeters can be used to determine terrain. Next, about synthetic apparatus radar or SAR. SAR is a single physical antenna that collects signals at different positions at different times. The phase shift of the signals allows radar to achieve better spatial resolution than conventional beam scanning radars. Next, about LIDAR or light detection and ranging is an instrument for measuring distance or other properties of target. Whose laser beams in ultraviolet, visible or near-infrared waves are used to illuminate the target. Okay, next about remote sensing platforms. There are various platforms for installing remote sensors such as balloons, kites, rockets, helicopters, airplanes, satellites, etc. Only satellites are discussed here because they are the most commonly used for data acquisition. Next, about data processing. Remote sensing usually measures the features that are attracted from the target object indirectly. Some key properties of remote sensing data include 1. Spatial resolution, pixel size. 2. Temporal resolution, repeat to coverage of the scanned image that is useful from detecting temporal colors from the object being scanned. 3. Spectral resolution, wavelengths widths of different frequency bands. 4. Radiometric resolution, the amount of different radiation intensities that can be distinguished. Typically, instrument noise will limit the resolution that can be achieved. Next, field observation. Field observation are carried out on or near the surface of the ground, which act as basic guide in supporting remote sensing analysis. They are used for 1. to verify the remote sensation. 2. Provide training data for image classification. 3. To provide spectral properties of objects, various planes, groundwater bodies. Field observation must contain 3 key elements: attribute, moisture, and location and time. Next, about application. Remote sensing has various applications such as vegetation, cover, erosion, pollution, forestry, weather, and land use that can be image mapped and tracked. Vegetation. Vegetation plays an important role in the environmental. There are several types of vegetation classification such as floristic or botany, physiognomy and structure, life forms, ecological. The timing of remote sensing of vegetation may be very important. In forested areas, mapping of lowland plants should be carried out in the early spring when the forest canopy is not fully developed to cover the small plants underneath. Landforms. Landforms remotely including geology topography. Aerial photographs are useful for identifying geological and terrain structure. Various drainage patterns can be taken from a distant sense of the picture. It is possible to see straight lines such as error lines. Next, about pure deep water appearance blue to green. Sediment concentration affect the spectral properties of the body of water that change by increasing the overall brightness in the visible spectrum and shifting the peak of the reflex from blue to green in a broader shape. Next, land use and land cover. Land use refers to the use of land surface by humans in an economic sense, and land cover shows the physical features of the earth's surface, like forests and urban. Usually, the main category is used to identify its land use package and land cover. To map change in land use and land cover, maps taken on 2 different dates must have the same classification, scale, geometry, and detail system. Next, rainfall. Rainfall can be estimated by visible bands, infrared or microwaves. Infrared and visible light instruments are able to study clouds in the upper layers, and thus they can provide indirect rain information. Conversely, passive microwave sensors can observe the distribution of raindrops on the Earth's surface. Chapter 5. About environmental risk. Environmental risk due to various environmental hazards is an important topic for environmental engineers to be recognized and understood to protect human society and ecosystem from hazard or damage on a local, regional, or global scale. Next, about danger. Danger is a threat to life, health, property, or ecosystem that is involves something that is potentially harmful. Therefore, when a hazard does not actively produce results, it will cause physical damage or destruction, loss of life, or drastic change to the environmental and result in incidents, accidents, emergency events, or disasters. Next, about environmental hazard. Environmental hazard include pollution of hazardous substances and natural hazard. Next, about hazardous waste. Hazardous waste is classified into several categories such as explosive, combustible, irritant, carcinogenic, corrosive. Currently, hazardous waste landfills are banned in the EU and first must be used to dispose of them. Next, about natural hazard. Further natural hazard can be identified as geological hazard and hazardous meteorological hazard. Example of geological hazards: earthquakes, landslides, volcanic eruptions, and examples of hydrometeorological hazards: floods, droughts, typhoons, heat waves. Next, environmental risks. Danger and risk are different terms. In environmental engineering, risk is defined as the expected outcome of environmental hazard or human injury, illness, death, economic loss, or damage to ecosystem. In general, risk is a function of danger and its exposure. It's about risk perception. Risk perception is a subjective assessment made by people about the characteristic and severity of the risk. There are several factors that influence the perception of human risk. One important factor is familiarity with danger, or if people are often exposed to danger and know more about it, there is a tendency to underestimate risk. The second factor is whether the risk is voluntary or not. When a person voluntarily takes a risk, he also usually underestimates the risk. Or smoking, driving a fast car. People tend to feel it is more acceptable to choose risk rather than to be risked by others. Next, about risk assessment. Risk assessment is an important component in risk management. Risk assessment is the determinant of risk associated with danger. Next, risk assessment. Risk assessment is an important component in risk management. Risk assessment is the determination of risk associated with danger. Methods for risk assessment may differ between sectors and whether is related to environmental or public health risk assessment. Next, risk management. Risk management is the identification, assessment, and priority of risk followed by coordinates and economically applied resources to minimize, monitor, and control the probability and or impact of adverse event or to maximize the realization of opportunity. Next, about risk communication. Community risk is a complex, disciplinary, cross-cutting field. The problem of communicators raise how to reach the intended audience in order to make the agreement understand and relate to other collection. How to respect the brilliant audience relate to risk. How to predict the audience to win communication and other things. The ultimate goal is to improve the effectiveness and performance of individual designers. Next, assessment of the environmental impact of Rahel Carson Spearing's difference book. Awaken the world by showing agricultural pesticides found in the environmental outside their target area and the terrible ecological consequences of introducing toxic chemicals into the natural food chain, assessment of the environment in the section becomes 4 steps, namely A. Information acquisition, B. Information analysis, C. In communication conclusion, D. Appropriate selection of measures. Next, public participation play an important role in environmental impact assessment, which has several benefits. Next, about assessment of the environmental impact of Rahel Carson's findings, difference book. Awaken the world by showing agricultural pesticides found in the environment outside their target area and the terrible ecological consequences of introducing toxic chemicals into the natural food chain. Assessment of the environment in the section becomes 4 steps. A. Information acquisition, B. Information analysis, C. Communication conclusion, D. Appropriate selection of measures. Public participation plays an important role in environmental impact assessment, which has several benefits. A. Provide opportunities to gather questions and problems from the local community or organization. B. Allow the project team to explain the details of project to the people concerned. C. Allows forums to open. Okay, thank you. Okay, that is my presentation to complete my final semester examination. Sorry if there is an error in this video. Thank you for watching.